School this afternoon. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Leslie Bowes. I'm head teacher of King Ecgbert. And of course this afternoon marks the launch of our Teaching School Alliance with the Tapton Trust and King Ecgbert School. King Ecgbert is also part of a multi-academy trust, that's the Mercy Learning Trust. So if you hear that being referred to at any point during the presentation this afternoon, that's just the multi-academy trust that we lead. So we were thrilled to be designated as a Teaching School Alliance back in March. But what I've got to say is, this afternoon for me is about extending a hand of partnership and friendship, because I don't think in this changing landscape that any of us have the answers entirely about how we maintain an outstanding status, or if we are a school that requires improvement, we move towards good. Lots of separate challenges, whether that's a change to curriculum or whether that's the challenge, particularly in challenging circumstances, of recruiting and retaining great staff. So, that's the vision, outstanding education for Sheffield's future and our children. I'll allow you to read that. I think perhaps the lights, Paul, if you don't mind, just on the front here, could turn on. There's a lot on that slide. But what I want to say is that 30 odd years ago, when I started teaching, and I know a number of us in the room this afternoon are in this position, there actually wasn't a language or a vocabulary about pedagogy. When we were observed as teachers, when we began to have the privilege of observing others, there just wasn't a set of labels around practice. We have a whole wealth of those now, and I believe we have the best qualified teaching profession we have ever had historically in the land. What is difficult, though, is to persuade teachers who are fabulous that they may want to take that next step into leadership. And so as you read that, and I'm not going to read that slide to you, our commitment to you this afternoon, in partnership with you, is that we will support teachers from the very beginning of their career, when they choose to join this great profession, all the way through from that initial teacher training, all the way through to system leadership, perhaps executive headship. And that's something that we have a big vision about. We've got expertise without doubt to deliver, but we can't do it unless we do work with key partners. And that's the purpose of this afternoon's event. The 6 big challenges and the 6 promises that we make and commitments as a teaching school are there. If I talk about one of my most important focuses for me professionally, it's that school-to-school support. This afternoon I had an email from the Department of Education, and you will have read, it was heralded in the news in August, about school-to-school support. So head teachers, national leaders of education, local leaders of education, who are also head teachers, being asked to go and work with other schools who are requiring improvement or perhaps inadequate in Ofsted terms at the moment. The numbers are staggering in terms of the finance that they are willing to give to support this initiative. So any school requesting school-to-school support from a national leader of education can immediately bid, term by term, for monies from between £5,000 to £20,000. And that's news that's just hot off the press this afternoon. However, what I need to say is those schools who are already part of academy trusts cannot have any of that finance. These are for new partners. So that's school-to-school support, a big initiative and drive of the government. Specialist leaders of education, I know either Jackie or Claire will be talking about in a moment, and we will be announcing this afternoon how we intend to recruit those. I've spoken about that language of pedagogy already this afternoon, but what I think we've done, certainly in the last 15 years, is perhaps we've neglected subject specialist knowledge while seeking to develop pedagogy. And one of the drivers for our teaching school is that we will be looking to support specialist teaching knowledge, particularly in the first instance in science, and that subject knowledge enhancement store at the back of the hall there, you'll be able to find out more about that there later on. So, continuing professional development. I know myself, I've always needed a rising star to attach my own ambition to, and I think that's true of us all. So actually my hope this afternoon is that you're signing up on those cards and you're telling us what you can offer. Because we are not by any means saying that we have all of the answers to those challenges that I've just described. We need to work in partnership with you. So it's lovely to see you this afternoon. Thank you for coming. On that note, I'll hand over to Jackie.
Thanks very much, Leslie. My name is Jackie Arundale. I'm Associate Head Teacher here at Ecgbert School and also Co-Director of Escafeld Teaching School Alliance. I'm going to talk to you about the survey we sent out, because part of our brief when we bid to be teaching schools was we had to really understand the local situation and make sure that we were putting provision in place that was going to support schools with what they felt were really their own needs. So we put together a questionnaire. We do know that questionnaires drop into inboxes on a daily basis and can be very annoying as everybody seeks your views about absolutely everything. And so we were really quite pleased that we got about 50 responses from across the city from a range of secondary and primary schools, which really helped us to make sure that what we were going to be offering was actually what was going to fit the bill of what schools themselves felt was needed. So, first of all, we asked about School Direct, and we found that there is a very significant interest across the city, according to our responses, in getting more involved in ITT and ensuring that we're training the people that we want to recruit for our own schools, and actually having a say in who those people are who are recruited into the training programmes. And I'll talk more about School Direct later on. And linked to that, actually, we found that 2/3 of the schools who responded did say that they had some difficulty recruiting. And again, there wasn't any clarity about at which level. A lot of schools were having trouble recruiting at the main professional standard of teaching, at the beginning of the teaching careers, whereas some schools were also finding difficulties all the way through, whether it was at middle leadership or at senior leadership scale. So that then feeds into a significant amount of interest, and perhaps the most powerful piece of feedback we received about how important you all feel that leadership development programmes are. And that's something that as schools, both Tapton and Ecgbert have had a past of being involved with, and we're really hoping to build on that as we move into our Escafeld partnership. And again, we're going to have, we've got people here who've been through some of our programmes, so they can talk to you about how those programmes can support leadership development at all levels within your schools. We think key to that is making sure that those programmes are both affordable in terms of time commitment and in terms of cost as well. We've really got an eye to the budget side of things there as well. There were also very many specific comments that people had taken the time to type in separately, which we will be reflecting on and using them as we reflect on today and we look at our offer as we move forward into the first year of our operation. So, as Leslie said as well, what is absolutely vital is that we have collaboration from all the schools that want to be involved. This isn't an exclusive club, we want it to be as inclusive as possible. Anybody who wants to be part of our school alliance is welcome on whatever level they want to be a partner. Whether that's joining in with School Direct, whether it's providing and joining in with making sure that our offer is as broad as it can be. And that came through when people said what aspects of the collaborative teaching and learning items that we suggested were possible in the survey. People were very keen on getting involved in teach meets, in subject network groups, and various other things. You can check this out on your questionnaire, which you've got a spare copy of in your pack if you're interested in seeing further. But actually, we need expertise from both primary and secondary colleagues to make sure that those can run. Now, of course, we're in the fortunate position that we can fund that in a small way. We can provide funding through charging a small amount to people who want to be involved in those, and hence provide the backfill of schools who can provide support in those areas. And it was also encouraging to find that we've got a lot of SLEs, which Claire will talk about later, already within schools around the city who may want to be involved and be able to share their expertise across the school. So all in all, the survey provided us quite an interesting picture that actually we think we're heading on the right lines with our outline that we're starting off with Escafeld, but we want to hone that and really ensure that it's delivering exactly what we need. Okay, so I'll hand over to Claire now for the next one.
So talking a little bit about what actually we are going to offer, just reiterating that point that we don't see it as this is come to our stalls and come and see what's on offer and decide what you want to send colleagues on or get colleagues involved with. It's also about how could you grow colleagues and involve colleagues in Escafeld. But to just give a little brief summary of some of the things that we've got on tonight. So we've got cross-phase leadership development programs. We've traditionally already, as two schools, run some leadership development programs. One is the Skills for Middle Leaders program that many colleagues in your schools and other schools around Sheffield have been involved in. And tonight we've got Jenny, who's going to be on the stall over there, and Sam talking about the Skills for Middle Leaders programs. Sam was a participant last year, Jenny who's an SLE from Tapton. And it was originally a National College programme. You all know all about it, but it takes the notion of building up middle leaders' skill set through looking at leadership literature and leadership development theory, but also by leading a real project in school, particularly focused on the thing that we feel particularly passionate about is leadership of teaching and learning. So we're going to have that on offer again to Escafeld. We also have a tradition of offering Lisa Tomorrow, which was something that I co-wrote in its infancy based on the fast track programme that they're always found in school. So it's for colleagues that are in their first 6 years ideally, but to try and harness that early interest in leadership and grow our future leaders. And we've run that successfully 2 cohorts through Tapton, King Ecgbert, Chaucer and Newfield, and we're wanting to share that programme more widely and hope that it bears fruit in your schools, really harnessing the newest, most colleagues who are most interested in developing their leadership. We've also got Acting Up, which is something we've done at Tapton, which is a programme that tries to bridge the gap between middle leadership and senior leadership. So colleagues that are really strong middle leaders, how do they make that leap to assistant headship? And that's a programme that we've done in Tapton that we think we can share with other schools and we can support you in establishing it. It's not the same as Leaders of Tomorrow and Skills for Middle Leaders. If you can find out more about those, they're very much face-to-face sessions with support back in school. Acting Up is a programme that we think we can offer you to set up in your school and support you in doing so. And we've got other ideas there, but it fits the theme that Leslie started us off on, that we really want to, through Escafeld, help support the development of colleagues from school direct, from initial teacher training onwards. You've probably heard a little bit of SLEs. There are already a number of teaching schools in Sheffield, and there are colleagues in this room that are SLEs for those teaching schools. But they're the heart school support. And I think look at them tonight in 2 ways. One is there an aspect of practice an SLE can help you with? Is it you've got a department or a group of middle leaders grappling with life without levels? Could SLEs come and support you in that? Come for an afternoon, come and run a twilight, a couple of days, whatever the need is your school has. Could there be an SLE, for example, we've got an SLE in art who's here tonight. Is it that outcomes in art need to be strengthened in your school? Could the SLE support with that? So that's one way of looking at SLEs. Who have we got and how could they help you? But the other way is thinking, who have you got in your schools whose careers you'd like to support and develop? in various areas, both primary and secondary. Could that be a great next step of development for a colleague in your school who you're looking to develop but also retain? So SLEs is something else to find out about tonight. Primary and secondary school direct.
Okay, well, for this year, for 2014-15, Tapton and Ecgbert are operating independently, recruiting new colleagues to start at the beginning of their career through training with Sheffield University or the University of Sheffield. The DfE were very clear in their guidance that from 2015, the clusters that were going to be preferred to take on the training were going to be the larger clusters. And that fitted brilliantly with our plans with Escafeld, because that we have merged our offers to bring the two schools together to have one school direct offer across the piece. So that means that within Escafeld we are recruiting for 2015-2016 over 80 new ITT trainees, and those will be with both universities and at primary and secondary. So largely the split will be all the colleagues who are recruited to take part to train in primary will be based with Sheffield University. Secondary, to ensure that we've got the offer across all the subjects that we require students to be trained to teach, we're using both Sheffield University and Sheffield University. The difference between those two courses is that the Sheffield University will be more vocationally based in one school leading to a PGCE. The University of Sheffield's offer will be based in two different schools within the cluster and will lead to a PGDE, which is slightly more in terms of master's credits. We've got already involved in the cluster 11 primary schools and 8 secondary schools. And it's about 60 of those 80 on placements which are going to be secondary based, so about 15 to 20 which are primary based. So it's already a big offer. It's already becoming easier because it's bigger, because the possibilities of the permutations are so much easier to satisfy as we have more schools which want to be involved. We're really lucky that we've got our office manager who's organised the whole event today, who actually will be leading on the administration side of the recruitment. So we're really hopeful that we're going to get some excellent, high quality recruits involved with the school direct. We've got Harriet and Becky and Nick who are here this evening who can talk to you about the school direct offer in much more detail and give you all the details. We've got some lovely leaflets to give out to help you to decide whether being involved with Escafeld for school direct is something that would be right for your school. Oh, I'm so sorry. See you, Gal. So sorry. Thought we were switching more often than we were. Okay, Andrew Farrell is here this evening from Tapton, who is going to lead on the research and design aspect of our offer at Escafeld. And Andrew will be able to talk to you about the embryonic side of this. When we made our bid for teaching school status, this is one aspect we haven't done as much work in as others, but it's something that we're keen to develop and keen to work on. And actually, we just won a bid to do some research into the growth mindsets culture and the impact that's likely to have on outcomes for students. So that will be the first piece of tangible research that's going to come through the Escafeld Teaching School Alliance, and Andrew will be able to talk to you about his ideas about that. And subject knowledge enhancement, which Leslie mentioned earlier, is a really crucial part of ensuring that we're going to be able to offer to schools that subject support, which we know makes recruitment and teaching at the highest level sometimes more challenging. We know that there's a need for this from the survey that we did, and we would have bid for a significant amount of money that means for next year we're going to be able to fund this. So we are putting together a programme which we will be grateful to receive people who want to take part. It will be aimed at ensuring that colleagues who are teaching the high levels of GCSE science in physics and chemistry are as equipped as they possibly can be to that material. And that's going to be led by a team from Tapton and King Ecgbert Science Departments. There's going to be a great focus already. Viv, who's here from Tapton, has planned the course out in outline already, and we'll be working with colleagues to really make sure that it has impact for the college you need those extra skills developing. It will be a practically based course. We've built in experimental work into the course, and also some of it will be online, because we're mindful all the time that actually having people out of school is very expensive in terms of their lost teaching time and also the replacement time to cover their workload in school. So we're hopeful that we're putting together a model that's going to be useful for the long term to ensure that we can continue to impact on these subject knowledge enhancements. This is our toe in the water with science. We'll see how that goes and we'll see what we can develop further. It is it.
My name's Chris. I'm the head at Totley Primary School and also the executive head at Valley Park School. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we hope our vision will be and our school-to-school support offer will be. Clearly it's a time of change. We've got changes over the next few years to deal with. We've got the new Ofsted framework, the new curriculum, the new SEN code of practice, and we've got assessment without errors. So it's obviously a time where we really need to work collaboratively. Leslie touched on it earlier. It's the way that schools are going to move. We've got the expertise. What we're looking for is to develop that capacity to make sure that we've got the skills within our teaching school to be able to support the schools. Within Escafeld already, we've got primary leaders, we've got expertise at secondary, EYFS, all from a range of contexts and a range of different backgrounds. And what we're looking to do is to develop that expertise and to use some of the people that are in your schools to be able to work with us, to work alongside other schools and to be able to support them to make the improvements that they require. So how can we support schools? Clearly it will be a bespoke method. We will be asking schools to come and talk to us, share their needs. I know that can be quite awkward sometimes, but that honesty is what's absolutely necessary. Already we're working alongside schools, providing executive heads, providing heads of schools, supporting schools in a range of ways. It might be a staff meeting. It might be a staff meeting on assessment without levels. It might be working with teaching assistants. It might be a whole school development issue because you need help with it at school. So what we're really after is your support. Fill your cards in. Think about the expertise in your school. Not necessarily at leadership level, it might be teaching assistants who can pass on their expertise to come and work alongside some of the schools that are in that need. Because what we're after is a vision across Sheffield where we are really looking to improve school.
As a head now for some 10 years, I've complained, often impolitely, about the local authority and the quality of school improvement. And actually here we are at a point where, because we have the number of teaching schools that we have in Sheffield, we've been given the privilege of leading on the school improvement agenda. So you've heard this evening about the offer as it stands now. Actually, this offer has to be organic, it has to grow, it has to respond to need. But it can, of course, only respond to need if we know what those needs are. So, it's a select gathering this evening, thank you for coming. What we need to do is to make sure that we are hearing from across Sheffield what the school improvement priorities are of everybody. And that it's a conduit into all of the teaching school alliances so that we can react, so that organic growth that I've just talked about really does meet the needs of all of the professionals in Sheffield and beyond, but more importantly, of all of the children in Sheffield. I think we would all agree that still too many children in Sheffield are not in good schools. That has to be the ambition for our city. That has to be our ambition as professionals. It's been a privilege to look at the quality and to meet some of the young people who are coming into the profession via School Direct already this term. The advantage for me of being able to recruit our own and to retain our own, whether that's within multi-academy trusts or just into Sheffield, is the only way that we will, into the future, sustain a great education for all of our Sheffield youngsters. So please, it's genuine from me. My other half, Mr. Bowe, sends his apologies. He's feeling persecuted, shall we say, by Ofsted in the last couple of days, given that 3 of the schools in the trust, one without notice, were inspected yesterday. So, yeah, feeling the pinch a little bit, shall we say, certainly the strain, but I'm confident that together, Tapton Academy Trust, the Mercia Learning Trust, in that Escafeld Alliance, we can make a difference, but only in working in partnership with everybody. So thank you for listening. We are here to answer questions. We're here for offers of help. Please, we can't do it alone. It's about genuine partnership and collaboration.